Welcome back, my fellow Force users. I'm your host, Triple S, and in this video, I'll be breaking down the third episode of the first season of Ahsoka titled Time to Fly. Let's begin. Number 1, and right off the bat, I want to talk about something interesting I learned between making my previous video and this one, and that's the meaning behind Baylan and Shin's surnames. In Norse mythology, Skoll and Hati are the sons of the wolf Fenrir, who in turn is the son of Loki and Angrboda, and at the time of Ragnarok will kill Odin, but then in turn be killed by Odin's son Vidar. Also, during Ragnarok, the wolf Skoll, who has always chased the sun, and the wolf Hati, who has always chased the moon, will finally catch up to the celestial bodies and devour them. And the meaning of Skoll's name in Old Norse is treachery or mockery, and the meaning of Hati is he who hates or enemy. Number 2, seeing Hu Yang like this, was anyone else kinda reminded of the Holodroid proxy from the Force Unleashed series? Number 3, do I really have to say it? We all know what this is a reference to, unless somehow you're watching Ahsoka having never seen A New Hope before, which would be a little weird. Sabine never manages to use the Force to block any of Ahsoka's hits, whereas Luke was able to block several shots from the training droid. But that doesn't make sense. Luke's a man and Sabine's a woman. I thought the narrative being pushed these days, according to some people, was that women are better than men at everything. Could it be perhaps that these people were talking out of their asses? Seriously though, what actually doesn't make sense is, how is this the first time Ahsoka has gotten Sabine to do this? Did Ahsoka only train Sabine in lightsaber combat after the end of Rebels? Number 4, while it is always a pleasure to see Mon Mothma, it would have been cool to get a Leia cameo here, either recast or via CGI with a hologram effect covering up the Uncanny Valley feel a bit. Number 5, oh, you gotta love seeing Hera laying the smackdown on Senator Xiono here. If you don't know who this guy is, then you've probably never seen the Resistance animated TV show, which is very likely since it only got 2 seasons and not that great reviews. Hamato Xiono appears twice in Resistance via hologram, once when you can't see him properly due to the transmission being encrypted in the first episode of the first season, and the second time when you can actually see him in the second episode of the second season. He does look a fair bit different in Resistance compared to in Ahsoka, though there is a gap of around 25 years between these two appearances, which could explain that. He is the father of the main character of Resistance, Kazuda Xiono, and wasn't very happy to hear about his son joining the Resistance, as he viewed them all as a bunch of extremists. And even with Starkiller Base having destroyed Hosnian Prime, the Xiono family's homeworld, he still refused to join or raid the Resistance despite his son urging him to, because the First Order had discovered Kazuda was a Resistance spy, and that placed the entire Xiono family in danger. Number 6, we get our first appearance of live-action Jason Syndulla, who we only saw briefly in animated form at the end of the final episode of Rebels, and it's got me thinking about the genetics of human Twi'lek hybrids. He still possesses the same green hair colour from when he was a toddler, but his eyebrows appear less green, and his eye colour has changed from bright blue to what appears to now be a dark brown. And this colour changing of features reminds me of the 2 other human Twi'lek hybrids we have seen before, Shea and Jekla Quain. Children of Sulu Quain and an unknown human, when we first see them in The Deserter, the 10th episode of Season 2 of the Clone Wars, Shea's skin is primarily lightish blue in colour but with patches of tan, and Jek appears to be entirely tan. Later, however, in Cut and Run, the 2nd episode of the first season of The Bad Batch, Shea's skin colour has changed significantly to a darker blue, and the patches have moved and shifted from tan to a dark grey. Jek hasn't changed as much, as he is still predominantly tan in colour, but elements of pink have started to appear on his face and Laku. This suggests the colour of the skin and features of human Twi'lek hybrids can change as they age, which would explain Jason no longer having green eyebrows and blue eyes. We interrupt this Triple S Variety Channel video to bring you this important message. Have you remembered to carry out the 3 S's? S number 1, subscribe to the Triple S Variety Channel. S number 2, smash that like button. And S number 3, share this video with friends, family, and relevant communities. We now return you to your Triple S Variety Channel video already in progress. Number 7, I love this discussion between Sabine and Ahsoka about the Force and how, even though it resides in all living things, not everyone is able to use it. Ahsoka explains that talent is a factor, defined as someone having a natural aptitude or skill, which explains how Anakin was able to survive whilst pod racing, how baby Ahsoka was able to tame the Sabertooth, how Luke was able to block the shots from the training droid, sense when he needed to fire to destroy the Death Star, call his lightsaber, force jump, use force choke, etc., how Grogu was able to lift the Mudhorn, heal Grief Karga and reflect fire, how Rey was able to mind trick Stormtrooper 007, call the lightsaber, lift rocks, heal the Vexis and Ben, etc. Even in Legends, a guy called Dessel had natural talent for the Force, unknowingly using it to crush his abusive father's heart, win at Sabak, sense danger, and aid him when he became a soldier in the Brotherhood of Darkness. Oh, yeah, I should probably mention Dessel ended up becoming known as Darth Bane. You know, one of the most important and powerful Dark Lords of the Sith in history, the prophesized Sithari, aka the Sith's version of the Chosen One, the one who came up with the rule of 2 for Criff's sake. They all had the natural talent to use the Force to heighten their reflexes and perform actions instinctively without actually knowing that they were tapping into the Force when doing these things. Ahsoka then also says that natural talent can only take a Force user so far. Training and focus is essential to properly mastering the Force. So for the people who already had such significant natural talent in the Force like Anakin, Ahsoka, Luke, Rey, and Bane, this added training is what made them the most powerful known Force users in the galaxy, and the same will probably happen for Grogu as well if he decides to ever start training again. Number 8. A long line of non-traditional Jedi, I'll say. Sabine being trained by Ahsoka, who was expelled from the Jedi Order by the Council due to their belief that she had bombed the Jedi Temple and committed several murders. However, it turned out she had been framed, so they offered her the chance to rejoin the Order, but she refused. Ahsoka trained by Anakin. I mean, we all know what happened to him, no need to go over it. Anakin trained by Obi-Wan, who fell in love with Duchess Satine Kryze of Mandalore and would have left the Jedi Order for her if she'd asked him to. Obi-Wan trained by Qui-Gon, who defied the Jedi Council multiple times when he chose to follow the spirit of the Jedi Code rather than its strict structures and rules. And Qui-Gon trained by Dooku, who grew to dislike the Republic due to its corruption, left the Jedi Order on good terms so as to become the Count of his home planet Sereno, became Darth Sidious's apprentice, formed the Confederacy of Independent Systems, etc, etc, etc. Number 9, I like how Ahsoka stops trying to force Sabine to work around how she's flying the ship and instead switches to working with Sabine so that they can shoot down the attacking fighters as a team. A really nice character moment for Ahsoka here. Number 10, so Ahsoka's ship has no forward-facing guns, only a tail gun? Seriously? Number 11.
Whoa, I got one! Great kid, don't get cocky.
Number 12.
2 more down! Great kid, don't get penisy!
Number 13, Hu Yang surmises that the Eye of Sign is apparently a hyperspace ring, a device that gives fighters with no onboard hyperdrive the ability to jump into hyperspace. I wouldn't have thought the Eye of Sign was a hyperspace ring since it is in and of itself already a ship. It has a bridge, you know, but if it indeed is one, then what ship is it going to attach to? Is it intended to attach to Thrawn's flagship, the Chimera, and bring it back from the distant galaxy? Number 14, Marok speaks, and he either has a naturally deep voice, his voice is being altered by his helmet like Vader or Kylo Ren, or he's a robot/cyborg. In any case, there's been a lot of speculation as to the identity of Marok, with some even believing it's actually Ezra, who's either been brainwashed or has amnesia. Why not leave a comment below with your theory as to who Marok is? Number 15. Ooh, do I sense a bit of animosity between Shin and Morgan, perhaps laying the foundation for a future conflict between the two? Number 16. Okay, I know this is supposed to be a World War II dogfight analogy, but them having to keep making strafing runs doesn't really make sense since we've previously seen fighters stop moving and then float in place, so why couldn't the bad guys do this and just shoot the heck out of Ahsoka, Sabine and Hu Yang? Number 17, also, either these space fighters have very weak lasers or the hull of Ahsoka's ship is very tough. So tough as to survive multiple laser blasts. Number 18, if Shin and Marok's fighters had cameras on their undersides, which they could use to see directly below them rather than having to rely on looking at their cockpits, they probably would have actually spotted Ahsoka's ship when they flew directly over it. To round all this off, my most disliked part of the episode goes to not getting a cameo, not even a mention, of Leia when Hera talks with Mon Mothma and the senators. And my most liked part of the episode goes to the discussion about the Force between Sabine and Ahsoka. It felt like a slap to the face of all the Star Wars critics who whined and cried about Rey being able to use the Force without any training. That was breaking down episode 3 of Ahsoka. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.